The question is that the bill now be read a third time. Shadow Minister Jill Furness.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I want to start by once again commending the Right Honourable and Learned Member for Kenilworth and Southam and all other members involved in taking this bill forward. Its aims are laudable and have the support of these opposition benches. I'd also like to pay tribute to the hundreds and thousands of taxi and private hire vehicle drivers across the country. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they went above and beyond to ensure they provided safe travel for those who needed it. But taxi drivers still face unacceptable working standards. Low pay, poor job security and the lack of workers' rights associated with the gig economy must be tackled head-on by the government, and I'm pleased to hear that future legislation is in the pipeline, and I know this side of the chamber will be very happy to cooperate with that during the committee stages. I welcome the agreement between Uber and the GMB, which will provide a vital boost for Uber drivers, but we all know there is still much more left to do. Labour would implement much-needed reforms to taxi and private hire services. This includes a review of licensing authorities' jurisdictions, setting national minimum standards of safety and accessibility, and updating regulations to keep pace with technological change. Turning to the bill before us today, the barriers that disabled people continue to face in transport are downright scandalous. According to a 2019 survey of disabled people for Scope, 30% said that difficulties with public transport had reduced their independence, and as many as 4 in 5 said they felt stressed or anxious when planning or carrying out such a journey. These figures sadly come as no surprise when you look at what's happened on this government's watch. The costs of public transport have continued to rocket upward ahead of wages, and services have become less and less reliable. A failed privatised model means bus fares are projected to be 60% higher by 2024 than they were in 2010. Not only that, but bus routes are projected to fall by over 5,000. This has led to elderly and disabled passengers numbers falling by nearly 26%. These stark shortfalls in public transport mean that for many disabled people, a taxi is their only option to go about their everyday lives. Disabled people, on average, take twice the number of taxi journeys each year compared to people without disabilities. This bill will give people with disabilities more rights when travelling by taxi and private hire vehicles. We welcome these ambitions, and so we will be supporting this bill today. But the proof is well and truly in the pudding. We must ensure that new rights on the statute books are matched by a tangible improvement in the experience of disabled people. For instance, I support making it mandatory for local authorities to make and maintain a list of wheelchair-accessible taxis. However, a decade of cuts after cuts by local authorities means that some may struggle to maintain their lists. In my constituency, Sheffield City Council have seen their spending power cut by £215 million since 2010, almost a third of their total budget. If the lists are not regularly updated, disabled people will be unable to rely on them. For this legislation to successfully meet its aims, it is imperative that the government works with taxi and private hire drivers to ensure they are fully aware of their responsibilities. For instance, training on how to assist people with a range of disabilities before, during and after their journeys could help ensure drivers have the confidence to provide safe and comfortable transport for all their passengers. We must also ensure that disabled people are fully aware of their rights. Whilst for many years wheelchair users and those with guide dogs have been protected under law from being denied a taxi service or charged extra, sadly, instances of this do still occur. Many charities and organisations do excellent work on this, but the government must ensure that these new changes are given the publicity they deserve. Unfortunately, the Department for Transport seems to have a track record of taking a back seat when it comes to publicity campaigns. The Highway Code fiasco makes this abundantly clear. We support this legislation today, which we hope will make a real difference to the lives of disabled people, but there is still so much left to be done by government to combat the lack of accessibility in our transport network. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
You're on that.